Hello, welcome to When the Smoke Clears. I am the Recovery Plug. How's it going, everybody? Well, you know how I like to get my podcast started, always with a moment of silence, followed by the serenity prayer for the addict who still suffers. So if you would, a moment of silence, please. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alrighty, well, I wanted to come to you and talk to you a little bit about complacency. And, in the world of addiction, it's real easy to stay complacent. And in the world of recovery, is also the same thing, to stay complacent with what you're used to, the normality, if you will, in your everyday life. So, you could get used to doing something and find yourself spinning your wheels and staying in the same place, or doing the same thing that you've done for days and days at a time, and those days can equal to weeks, and the weeks can equal to months, and the months to years. So it is very easy to stay complacent and to do things that are that can either be positive and keep you going, or negative and keep you stagnant, right? So to put that to put it in perspective, in my world of addiction and recovery, I could definitely remember things that I did that I got used to doing in addiction, and that it allowed me to just stay there and allowed the time to pass, even though I knew that I didn't want to be there, or I knew that I was sick of doing the things that I was doing, and I knew the result of what I was doing was ultimately not very good, right? So I knew that the things that I involved myself in, the actions that I was taking to stay in addiction, and whatever it was that I was doing wasn't healthy, that's for sure, and it was always had a negative result to it, in the form of either I was doing something to get drugs, and for myself or for somebody else, or I was doing things to get money to provide the drugs and for my everyday living, and that equal to doing things in the realm of what they call on the street licks, and licks can consist of doing just about anything. I mean, there's a variety of it's a wide definition when you want to define licks, and it could be taking things, it could be selling things, it could be just different types of things like that. So what I involved myself in personally was I did things that were risky, and getting things and selling them, and selling drugs and picking up drugs and that sort of thing. So it wasn't something that the everyday person would be doing. So you find yourself in this negative, dark world that you get used to it because you get complacent, and you begin to think in your own mind that that's the normal way of living for you now. And so it can be a downward spiral, crash and burn in a hurry, and it also can be one of those just spinning your wheels like a hamster in the wheel type thing, where you're just every day doing the same thing, knowing that that you're doing things that are not healthy for you, you're doing things that are going to kill you, you do things that are just negative, and when you're in that addictive state, you don't care. Your mind is the positive things in life are the furthest thing from your mind. What you want is immediate fix, immediate healing, immediate remedy for the feelings, for the things that you're going through on that particular day and time. And positive things weren't involved in that, unfortunately. So it's a domino effect of negativity, that's for sure. So you in flipping the coin there in the world of recovery and positivity, it's if you use the same energy that you're using to stay in the negative realm, use the same energy in the positive realm. And by that I mean myself personally, I do a lot of things in my day to keep me reminded of the things that I don't want to do, the things that I got sick of, and the things that ultimately put me in a spot where I had no way out except more bad things. And so when you're doing things in the positive as a constant reminder to keep yourself moving forward, it becomes easier the more you do it. The more repetitive it gets, the easier it gets, and the more rewarding it gets. So so I encourage to do things like that in the positive, and to do it on the daily basis, no matter if they're really minute things that you're going to do. If you're doing at least one thing positive a day, and you do it every day, every morning, or whatever, whatever part of the day you do it, so long that it's something that repetitive that you do, and a constant reminder that you want to change and that you want to do positive things, then it is definitely a plus, because your mind is programmed. If you're in that dark realm right now, your mind is programmed to be in that dark realm. But the good thing about your mind and how it works is that it is very, I wouldn't say simple, but it is something that can be altered in a positive sense. So you can program your mind to start doing things in the positive way, and doing things that are good and that take you away from the negativity, so and the darkness, you know what I mean? So if in a sense, if you set healthy boundaries, in other words, if you do things, if you wake up in the morning and claim an affirmation of some sort, saying, this is just an example. If you get up every morning and say, okay, I'm not going to use today. And you say that every morning, God, I'm not going to use today. Please help me not use today, just today. And, throw something else in there, like, I'm going to do a meeting today. I'm going to go to an AA or an NA meeting today, so that I don't use just for today, or just for this first part of the day. And, maybe take 30 minutes, 20 minutes to meditate, and just say those positive things over and over during your meditation time. And, you might want to set an alarm on your clock or something, and, say, let it set and let it ring in about 20 minutes, so that you have 20 minutes of just constantly saying this positive thing over and over. And if you do that on the daily basis, then you're more prone to doing it than not to doing it. So, again, my day personally starts with a morning affirmation, and it involves just saying that, I'm not going to use today, and I'm going to do whatever it is that I have planned for the day. Like today, I had to go to this meeting and in the morning, and then I got another meeting that I got to go to, and then I wanted to do the video before the other meeting. So I feel, okay, well, that was my positive morning affirmation, was that, okay, God, please allow me to get to this meeting on time, so that I can go and set up for the podcast and get that done, and so that it helps me and it reminds me of where I'm not going to go and where I am going to go, and so that I can make it to my second appointment on time, and I can stay on a positive note for the day. So it went something like that. And so I say it over and over, about 10, 12 times during my morning, 10, 15 minutes of just meditating and just saying things out loud like that. Personally, I gotta say it out loud for me to hear it. It's the same way like when I'm reading a book, I gotta read it out loud for some reason, but that's just me. And so my day has been going pretty good. And right now I'm doing the podcast, and as soon as I'm done here, I gotta go to my second meeting, which is a peer support group. So I'll go and sit in on that, and I might share and I might not. You know what I mean? It depends on how the mood is when I get there, and if whatever the counselor there has as far as their agenda. If it's something that they allow to elaborate on, and if I feel that I need to let something off my chest, or if I got something that towards the topic that they choose that I can relate to, and if I have some sort of experience with it, then I'll tell my story, and maybe it helps somebody out there in the meeting. But so that's how my day's going. And it keeps me engaged. It keeps me engaged in the program. I mean, when I got here to this facility where I'm doing this podcast, I ran into a guy downstairs that I hadn't seen. I know the guy, but I don't really know him. He was a guy who was in the same treatment center, the last treatment center I was in. He had attended. And I remember him being there for, I think he did like a 90-day thing, and he left a little bit earlier than I did, and I saw him downstairs, and I was like, "Hey, how you doing?" He's like, "Hey," he didn't recognize me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, lifetime, da da da." And I said, "So how are you doing? Okay?" I said, "Are you clean?" And right away he goes, "No." He looks at me with his kind of like embarrassed in a sense, and he looks down and just nods his head no. And I was like, well, I invited him up to sit in on the podcast. Maybe he wanted to share a little bit, but he was kind of embarrassed about the whole fact that I asked him that. I guess I don't know, but he did say bye to me, and he did say that he was I'm glad that you're good, that you're clean. And I told him, I said, yes, I've been clean since May 22nd and whatever, but I haven't used since I got out of the rehab. I told him, and so he was excited about it. But he thanked me and asked and just told me to keep on moving, forward with it. And so it's that easy, because I asked him, I said, why? What happened? If you don't mind me asking. He just nods his head and shrugs his shoulders, and he just looks at me and just with this look on his face, kind of halfway smiling. And then I look back at him. I tell him, well, I guess life, huh? And then he goes, yeah. He goes, just, I don't know. He goes, I really don't know. But that's what I'm talking about, because when it's that easy to lose track, because you can, in an instant, be back in that world of addiction, and it just takes that quick to do it. And it could be anything from setting a wrong boundary and going somewhere where you used to use, or where you used to shop if you're addiction shopping, or where you used to buy games if you're a gamer, or whatever, whatever your addiction is. But it just takes one time, and when you're an addict and you relapse, one of the things that I know for sure is that you beat yourself up mentally and emotionally, because you know that you're doing wrong, you know that you did it, you know that you were supposed to stay clean, or you're supposed to stay away from the addiction, but you didn't. Somehow you talked your way into using, and that's what we do as addicts, you know what I mean? We're always using some sort of an excuse to say, hey, you know what, I can do it again. Maybe I can do it again for, a little bit, without, it being a bad thing. But, when you keep doing that and you stay complacent in the fact that you don't do something to keep yourself in the positive realm, then it gets hard. You know what I mean? So I encourage you to just stay repetitive in the positive things that you do, and set those healthy boundaries. In other words, don't put yourself in the predicaments of something that may remind you so that you go back and use, or hang out with people that you were using with and thinking that you can, this time watch a game and hang out with them without, doing anything, that, you're just here to watch the game and drink a drink, well, a soda or something. It's not going to happen, because ultimately, if, you stay with, if you're ultimately hanging out with people that are using, then more than the probability of you using is pretty high of you going back to use. So setting those healthy boundaries and keeping you involved in healthy things and positive things keeps your mind always in that realm, and it keeps you on your toes of what not to do and what to do for that you don't go back. It's basically reminding yourself on the daily. And there's it's not going to be easy by any means. There's days that are just terrible, then there's days that are great, but nonetheless, if you just stay the course and keep it, it'll get easier. And that I know through experience. So that I can tell you that if you just keep the pace, keep on the grind of positive things, and setting healthy boundaries, and you know what, you're going to be on the road in no time, and I believe that. So so I just wanted to get out this, get a quick video out before I have to go to my peer support group. And I like, I always feel like I gotta share, that's my due diligence, is sharing stories and sharing experiences that I go through, and experiences of, if somebody shares something with me, I'll if I think it's gonna help somebody, then I'll elaborate on that. But at any rate, thank you for watching, and if you would, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, send me a comment, send me a message. And if you're in the San Antonio area, like this is the city I live in, hit a meeting, in one of these places that I'll give you here in just a minute. And it doesn't hurt to just sit there for 30 minutes or an hour and just listen in on something that can plant a seed in your world and have positive effect on you. So if you would, the Esperanza group downtown in the west side, good place. The Goliad group in the southeast side of town, the Winners Club in the northwest end of town, and Club 12 down in the north central side of town. I know people in all these places. They're good people. They'll show you love. They won't turn you away, I guarantee it. And if nobody hasn't told you today that they care, that they love you, you know what, man? I care, I love you, and I care what happens to you. And I hope to see you one day on this side of the world of recovery and positivity. So, again, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. I really appreciate it. Help me launch my podcast off and launch off a few of these projects that I got in the making. So I could use all the support I can get to spread the message, and that's my due diligence, is to give away what has helped to me stay in recovery and sobriety and positivity. So again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I am the Recovery Plug.